been a huge gap, okay? The very first thing that they gave me was a huge gap that you have come over or come through. The divine is, of course, bringing me the all-seeing eye. So your clarity, your perception, the way that you do things has completely changed. It's the way that you see things, the way that you've elevated through things. So this leap or this gap that they're saying that you have closed, like it's almost like when you start to feel something starting to come through on an etherical level, you've started to close that gap. We call that pulling the cords in, the threads, right? It's like what you're trying to raise your vibration to is starting to align with you. When they talk about closing that gap, it's like the energy's closing in and you can feel these things not lasting. Okay, right now, perception is everything, and I said this, and they brought this up. We were just in a fun phone call last night, and they brought this up last night again. And Spirit is really heavily bringing through the split again, but it's a 3-split dynamic. Okay, and there's been a few of you that have known that I saw this split, and 2 years ago, we talked about the grid and this time-space continuum being ripped away, and usually I'm that far in advance of things, and now it's coming back to play of understanding. Remember about a year ago it was about a year ago that came up, and they started talking about the Earth speeding up and Gaia speeding up faster, and you were going to feel and see the resonance of those things speeding up, and then everybody's all over the place with the sun flares and the Schumann. That is the trajectory of Earth speeding up her magnetic frequency and responding to those energies. Now remember, we've had the Cazimis. So when Cazimis happen, they get closer to the sun. They cause a lot of distractions too, because that planet is powering up, it's recharging up. And people were like, why was this Mercury retrograde so heavy and so internal, and it was so visceral, it was so internal, it was so energetic, and you couldn't miss things at all. It was just smack in your face, you know? Mercury retrogrades are usually not that internally combative for a lot of people. Most of it's outside kind of chaotic things, right? This seemed to be more of an internal battle that you were going through. Well, that's because Mercury just got charged up by the sun before it went retrograde. And then you've got all the other retrogrades going on. Then you've got the sun popping off, and the Earth is doing its thing and speeding up. That is going to elevate your abilities, elevate your frequency, and elevate your gifts very quickly. It's also going to elevate what you're in line with, what you're in attune with. And the 3-dimensional split is coming back again. And so you really now can feel these shifts energetically where it builds like a rift, like an undertow, like where two waves come together and then pull apart, right? It's like you can feel this colliding of energy, and then you can feel it pulling apart. These are those little microfiber tears in the layers of the dimensions that are coming together. It's like you've been having a lot of deja vus. Well, that's overlapping of dimensions coming through, and then you peel away. So you dimensionally intertwine, right? You have deja vu, or a lot of synchronicities and significances spiritually at this time. That's a lot to do with Neptune and Pluto too, and Pisces playing into things. All right, so then you pull away. Now your frequency has become a lot more energetically intertwined, is what the divine is saying, not only with the higher mind, but internally. Your body is feeling things on such levels. It's saying pay attention to your dreams too at this time, because the dreams are bringing through significant spiritual things that mean things personal to you, of closing out things you're going to be doing, things you're pulling through. And it's also helping you go before you. So in Native American terms, we call this dream walking, but when I came here on this app 6 years ago, everybody called it astral traveling and confused the shit out of me. So I use both languages. So in dream walking space, you're going before the time-space continuum that you were in to try to solve the puzzle or figure it out or find the answers, and you're doing a lot of astral traveling, and then you're coming back to this point in time, this one where you align, okay, and then you're feeling the rifts in the dimensions of quote-unquote the time-space continuum, because it's been ripped away, because the theory of time and understanding what time is has been ripped away from the man-made construct of understanding and knowing that there is no separation, there is no time difference. It's all about frequency and elevation. Many thanks to you. And so now you guys are pulling these through. Now, they showed me a while ago the 3 different levels, and so we have kind of a different type of split, and this is a bigger split than you have. This is something you're going to be really feeling, that's going to be really revealing to you, and I know it already is, right? But it's for you to really understand how God works through you and how the divine works through you and what it's trying to align you to. So you're having what we call the lower level timeline and then the higher level timeline, okay, frequency of energy. Then in that space of that higher timeline of frequency and energy, there's a duality. So there's going to be another split that takes place. That split that takes place is, with all due respect, AI spirituality versus the true and authentic divine connection of spirituality. And so you're going to see not only just this split and feel this split right now, but you're already probably feeling this split this way. And as we understand, not only are things like in pancake layers, right? And remember, you may not have been here yesterday, but instead of like putting the dimensions this way next to them, they started to put them in a diagonal space of elevation. And they're showing me that, of course, we are in a pancake space, so it's not only elevating this way, we've got parallel dimensions that run level to each level, right? So level 1, level 2, level 3, we're just going to talk levels, okay, as human beings right now. So imagine these different levels, and then on these different levels, it has different layers within that level of different actions that happen based upon frequency, free choice, and free will. And so that's when you start to feel like things are not changing. You're in the hallway, you're about to have a breakthrough, and then boom, you have this realization or this energetic breakthrough or this interpretation, or some people call it spiritual inheritance, where the wisdom or the aha or the whatever happens, and then you move up to the next level. And then your soul has the parallel dimensions laid out there based upon your actions, your choices, your frequencies, your growth, your soul's growth. And you go through those levels this way, and then you have another breakthrough, boom, you're at the next level. And this is what you've been doing your whole entire life through all of these external and internal pathways. And now you guys are energetically coming into the embracement of not only the bodily, but the higher mind. Okay, the complete, sometimes you'll hear people call it the untapped wisdom or knowledge. It's not untapped, because you can tap into it, so that is a oxymoron, backwards statement. The untapped wisdom. Well, it's already been there. It's always been there. It's not untapped. You've been tapped in, but not in the clear, concise way that you're breathing it in, is what the divine said to me, on an internal, external, and above. And this goes back to one of the messages they brought through to me the other day, which is, it used to be where you guys were having to reach for the things, reach for spirituality, reach for what it meant, reach for the understanding, and now it's all within. The wisdom keepers, the truth seekers. This is the level of the energy that you guys are tapping into. You're using your spiritual discernment. You're learning how to unveil things and work in divine flow of things. And when you are in questioning and learning how to actually command and work with universal energies of divine flow, that it's way different. It's way different than on a human level of existence. It's being completely tapped into understanding the divine flow of things, but being able to see everything on multiple layers and multiple scales, not only within thee. And most of the time you see everything outside and inside in layers, and that's how you can see all the different pathways. So it's not necessarily untapped. You're just being able to learn what it is and learn how to really, really work with this. And so we're going to go back to this, which is something that they're asking me to bring back through. Okay. I will in just a minute. That's awkward, but we're going to do it because you've never asked me just to read that part, but we're going to do it. Okay. The tide is turning. What once felt stagnant begins to move, not in chaotic rush, but in a slow hush. The seeds you have planted, whether in silence or in struggle, are breaking the surface. Not to rush the harvest before the roots have taken their hold. There will be moments where the old world calls you back with familiar noise, but once you are not meant to go, to return. Step lightly, but with intention. Your discernment is your compass. Your patience is your shield. The collective heart is awakening to deeper truths. Some will be uncomfortable, pulling away the veils of convenience. Trust that clarity, though is unsettling, is a gift. Do not fear the unknown horizon. Walk toward it, knowing you carry the tools, the wisdom, and the quiet courage that will shape what comes next. In days ahead, speak less from fear and more from vision. It's not just here in vision, it's everything connecting in vision. The more you align with what feels expansive, the more the road ahead will open. Choosing faith over fixation. Do not obsess over controlling the form of the blessing. Focus on staying in alignment with the source of the blessing. You are the source of the blessing, but the source and the sacred divinity that's always been there waiting for you to align with it is the source of the blessing too. So it's a multiple layer statement when they bring those things through. Now, this is the one that we were really talking about they wanted me to get to, which is the casting of the doubt and the within and the without and all of those things. I can get to it. Because they make me keep these things on purpose. And it was, I think it's back here. I think it's further back. As within, so without. And that was something that I read a couple different times. Okay, it's back here. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Like, they just had me keep this notebook, and then they refer back to things, and they were doing it yesterday. And yeah, I know I should mark the pages, thanks, but I don't have time to mark pages right now. We're just gonna find it. Maybe. Maybe not. Because if it's not, then it's not. But I really feel like it. It's talking about literally the in and without and the way that you were reaching, and I know that it's on here. Here it is. You can feel the exhale today, a deep clearing in the unseen and the in-between. Normally you feel this shift from the outside in, but now you feel it as within, so without. The collective heart is awakening within through the ripples of what you once knew can no longer be a part of you. You started below to reach for above, till I flew like a dove over you, bringing the light from above. Then you felt everything from without to within. Who knew that's where the channel would begin? Now within to without, my energy is all about. Every pulse, every beat, every moment you can feel the shift beneath your feet. And that's where you're meeting now with the multiple different dimensional layers of reality that is shifting and shaping. And this is why they really have taught you to be at 0 point, 0 state, in divine flow and in present tense, as you know, because when you're in present tense, you don't miss any opportunity. You get to see the bigger picture through the truth and the authenticity of what you do and how you do it. And these are those things and understandings on deeper layers about you and what you do, how you work, how you bring things, how you bring the divine through you, and how you intertwine with the parallel realities of this and that. And so you're really working with a higher level of consciousness and a higher mind. All right. Yes, it's scary at first. Most of you saw like the little synchronicities, such as the little tiny manifestations, right? Some of you were like, oh, I wish I would see a bird today. And then boom, this bird shows up. Or, it's the high. So you saw those little things, right? The little manifestations. Now you're working with a very higher mind that is intertwined and integrated to the divine on a way different universal scale. A lot of people are not going to understand you as you move into the higher layers of how you do or what you do. It's not for you to try, obviously, to get people to understand you. You leave the seed in which is planted for them that they need. You're always continuously shifting and shaping your experience based upon the level of what you connect with and adhere to. And it's way deeper on an internal level of what you're going through now on a universal scale, working with the divine life force energy. Okay, it's like you really can't deal with simple-minded small tool games. I hope that makes sense to you. You can't deal with somebody that's having a bad day because they didn't get the fucking McDonald's order right. You can't deal with energy that complains or that manipulates or that is malice or that is being put in your face. It's just, I don't like that. I'm good. I'm cool. And it's really you connecting with the sacred divinity of what you're trying to bring through in your communities and what the divine is really leading you to do. And it's from a very deeper, intertwined, in-depth understanding of what you connect with. To the God of your understanding, to the divine of your understanding. The point is that you understand that it is a frequency, it is a feeling, it is an internal existence because you are it. It came from you, you came from it. There's no separation to it. But once you truly integrate and feel the vibration of what that truly is for you in your own dictation, then those things will start to really acclimate and move for you. Once you stop questioning how that connection works or why that connection works, or if you're connecting with it and you just stick with it in the obedience and the deliverance and the and what that energy is feeling like you have to do, the more you're going to stay in truth of alignment of you. And that's the whole point right now at this time, is the truth of alignment with you and what the divine is cultivating through you. And I know this sounds kind of rude, but truly it's at a time of who gives a shit what anyone or anyone else is doing. You're coming from a higher place of existence, of understanding what you're working with and what the divine is asking you to do. It doesn't matter what Tom, Sally, Jim, Bob in the next door. Those are really trivial things right now with what you can bring to the collective. They're very trivial. Okay, and you're not in a simple-minded, trivial place anymore. You're not worried if the dishes water's there. It's very trivial because you have a bigger picture going on of what you're trying to bring forth in your own energy and cultivate through. So a lot of quote-unquote, as we call them, distractions. Hi, Miss Lori. Thank you, Shar, for being here. And a lot of those distractions were really just stupid little distractions to keep you from integrating this level with you. Integrating, it was the devil energy trying to not give you what you needed to bring to the table so that you could see what it is that you're to cultivate, believe, have faith in, and do, that is going to succeed through you. The timelines of divination that you have pulled yourself through have left you in a place of stagnation just because it's kind of confused you and shaken you up, and you're like, oh my God, all this energy, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how things are playing out, and I'm all over that place type of energy. Mars has something to do with it the last couple days. This is really you about really tapping in and learning how your body meditates, learning how you connect, how you feel the energy between you and God is real. I've learned something in my 42 years of being here. God, the divine, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene. Truly, you could call it boo if you wanted to. They don't give a shit what you call it, them, how you refer to them. Many of you not understand and not know what you do in which you're connecting through. And it's because of a very in-depth spiritual trauma instances and vibrations and things that you went through. And people have a very hard time using names, and that's why I've broken down the stigma of God. And I love saying it like that because it just shakes people and they're like, ah. I do it on purpose because the understanding of the vibration of God, of the divine, of the union of masculine and feminine is all of it encompassing, and there's many different names for it. It is an internal feeling and connection and believing, and that's what they can't take from you, that they have tried to take from you in multiple different ways and cut you off from coming online. But now that you're connected to it and you can feel it and you can smell it and you can believe it and you can taste it and you can eat it and you can breathe it as the pulses run through the energy of you and others, they can't take that away from you. They can't take your belief. They can't take your faith. They can't take what you connect to from a very internal, discerning place. The very thing that you went to when you were on your knees in suffering, in bondage, and in parallel, whether you called it Jesus, whether you called it Archangel, whether you called it God, whether you just called it out, it came to you, and it heard you, and it felt you, and you felt it, and you were cradled in the arms of what you called an angel. And people call it the vibration of love. I think love is a very small word compared to what it is that you're connecting to. I think love is just the only word in a human way that we have an experience of being able to explain the frequency, because that's what the human feels. That's how the human knows that it's real, is through love. But the energy that you're feeling from above and that you're connecting with in an embraceful way from the heart space and from the solar plexus is in a way different way. Understanding the rhythms and the abundancies of how those things show up to you. So when we say abundancies, it's wisdom, it's knowledge, it's the how-to, it's the God doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself. It's the knowing how to handle situations which used to baffle me. It's knowing how to deal with yourself emotionally, mentally, and embracefully on many different levels. And yes, you could say this, that you beat the devil, but this is why they were talking about the gate systems and the chakra systems and the different levels of quote-unquote sin, in a sense, yesterday, because everyone relates to a gate system. Every quote-unquote sin that they say that is related to in the fake Bible context is one that keeps you trapped in your gateway. Gluttony, greed, lust, ego, pride. So you've had to work through those gate systems like Dante's Inferno. It's the ladder. It's the ladder. And you get kind of like here for a while, and then you get here for a while, and then you get connected to a way different thing, internal and external, the more that you naturally just allow the seeds to be planted and placed before you, and allow the divine flow and the divine alignment and the breath, you know, the very breath of life that carries you to teach you things. You had to learn how to listen. You had to learn when to pause. You had to learn when to move. You had to learn what the voice of the divine sounded like again to you, and you had to clear out all the other demonic distractions and demonic voices until there was one voice that remained left. That's in the transmissions. Now, that one voice has remained left. You don't question what you do, you don't question how you do it, you don't question what the divine is asking you to do. And every other time it's been a how, a why, a where, a when. And you haven't wanted to let go, and you haven't wanted to begin again, and you haven't wanted to do this again, and you haven't wanted to do that again. But you're not trapped. You're being freed. And you're alchemizing energy faster and more in tune than you ever have in your reality. So when you're asked to align with something, when you're asked to divine on something, remember it said that your discernment is your compass. I was going to say your divination, and they're like, no, still, that's the wrong word. And I'm like, show me the word. And your discernment is your compass. You've learned it. You didn't go through treachery and bondage and fuckery and fakery and manipulation and greed and realizing that it was your own family that dropped you to allow you to drop yourself because you didn't know what to do or how to handle or what was going on. And so you've had to learn how to carry yourself. I was blessed by the grace of God to be raised by spirit. I was an orphan, really, truly, in all understanding of societal dynamics and how families are supposed to work. I raised myself in authenticity. And it was spirit that raised me. And it was spirit that raised me because I didn't have parental guidance around to tell me what was right or tell me what was wrong. And let me tell you, it probably was the hardest level of experience that I had to understand, of the divine teaching me what not to do in order to teach me what to do. And I just wanted to keep fighting. I just wanted to keep fighting against what God was presenting to me to not to do, because I am a bull and I will run through it, and I will not understand 50 million times until God literally takes my hand and leads me through it. Okay? Personally, I had to do those things on multiple different times because of my stubbornness and my headstrong. And then I learned it takes a right kind of stubborn to be doing what we're doing and to be leading the pathways that we're leading and helping those understand what's going on. It takes a right amount of stubborn. It takes a right amount of strong. It takes a right amount of this. It takes a right amount of that. It's like the perfect little potion being put together. And when you can see the vibrations and the authenticity of how the divine's hands have truly been on you your entire life, you don't question any longer what you're doing, how you're doing it, or why you're being asked to do it. You're going from feeling. You're no longer, it's like almost there's a flat line in the brain, and it's kind of like, until you feel, okay, through the soul and the heart space, what's next for you. And that heart brain and the gut brain in your soul is naturally leading you to do what it is that you're doing. I don't know half the reasons why I do what I do. My husband just watched me every fucking day, and he's like, you ain't got a clue why you're doing what you're doing. I just know that I need to do it. And he goes, he can see this stuff plain as day. That's my life. I have no idea. That's the whole point. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. That's being led in the divine way. You've had to surrender. You've had to realize that something bigger than you always knew what it was doing for you and how to handle your soul for your own evolution, for your own soul's growth. And now you're here. Truth be told, you've all been weird. Truth been told, you've all been crazy. Truth been told, your lives have all been hazy. Truth be told, there's so much trauma in this room that's been healed right now that we could literally probably write 50 fucking books. The trauma is your breakthrough, meaning it's what made you, it's what molded you, it's what shaped you. And you couldn't have resentment towards it. You had to understand it, of what it was there to mold you and shape you. I got to have this conversation with my husband yesterday, and we had a beautiful conversation. And he came to me and he asked me about something from the father aspect with his father. And I said, truth be told, I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know, because I wasn't raised with men in my home or a father. I had to release the resentment of that generational curse that was placed on my family to separate the iniquities of what the natives were here doing and pursuing and brewing. And so I had to understand the generational trauma. He was adopted off the native reservation before the treaty took place. Then all of that happened. And then you understand certain pathways of divine discernment that you're being led to begin to do these things. So he's asking me about this father aspect, and I'm like, I can't really answer that. And I said, but what I can do, he goes, how did you deal with that? And I said, well, here's what I was able to do at about the age of 25, and I was blessed. It wasn't me. It was something else doing it for me. And see, what I had to learn is that being adopted off the native res, he was placed into a boarding school, and it was an all-boys school, and it was an all-boys kind of like thing that they placed him in. So I had to see how the white people that adopted him had no clue, and he had no clue how to be a child, but what it was like to be parented. So how could I expect this man that didn't know what it was like to be a child, but also didn't know what it was like to be father a child? That's a very faulty expectation on my part. And that brought a lot of hesitation. So I came to the awareness a long time ago. My dad is a shitty father because he wasn't equipped with the tools to pass that on in his bloodline and generation. But he's a really good man. And he's been very successful in his life for the way that his plan has worked out for him. And understanding that at such a young age, it wasn't disassociation. It was compassion and obligation that I had placed on myself, and bondage that I had placed on myself, expecting this man to be my father that never knew what it was like to be a child himself or to be fathered. Then I was able to come to the understanding that he may have been a real shitty father, but he was a good man. And he's helped a lot of people in his lifetime, and he's done good, and he has served well, and he has worked with people well in his life. But we don't merge because he does not accept the deeper values and pieces and parts of his native lineage and where he's come from. He's too conformed. He's too conformed to societal things. He's a good man. Doesn't make him a good father. So I had to help him learn that the faulty expectation of what society places on what we think is a dad or what we think is a man has had to be changed within our own revelations within the divine's hand. And these are the deeper truths of the transparencies, of the vulnerabilities of these things that you are really, really aligning to, because who wants to feel that way? You guys are sick and tired of feeling those things and feeling those ways and going through the patterns and the cycles. And it was about 6 months ago, I literally was going through a breakthrough on my bed, and I was fighting with myself, and the divine goes, then stop. And I was like, oh shit. You're right, I can totally stop this right now. And it stopped. You don't have to do those things the way that you're doing those things. You've had to come to the realization that sometimes no choice at all is the best choice. You heard the call. You heard the call because you were at 0 point. You were not in a place of intrusive thought. You were not in a place that you have to do thing. You were in a place of authenticity, 0 point, gravity, which allowed the natural flow of the sacred divinity to come through to bring you what it was and is that you're asking it to bring through. But only through getting through those things of learning that you don't have to do things all the time to get a result in the flow of the way that the divine works is a huge breakthrough. And it's a huge layer of understanding, and it's a huge shake through. And you understand from a very deep resonant place that you called for these things to happen to in your life on command so that you could elevate the way that you wanted your soul to elevate through transgression this time to the higher awareness, the higher mind, the higher plane of course, what you came here to do. Not only elevate your own soul's growth, but to be able to touch and hold those around you that are in like frequency, not to help pull them through, but to hold them just like you hold yourself. I got the best job in the world. I got a big job. I got a big job because people hang on to every word that I say, every vibration that I bring, everything that comes through me, people hang on to that. I hold their heart in the palms of my hand. I hold their heart in the palms of my hand. I hold their lives in the palm of my hand. If I am not in truth or authenticity, I can't do what I do because then it is not true. And I've always saved people's life. That was my first job. I was a lifeguard for 15 years. And I didn't understand what God was placing in my hands at even such an early age to save people's lives. And did I? Yes, I did. Did I save children? Yes, I did. Did I save adults? Yes, I did. Did I also, through another career space, help people seed and plant energy through massage therapy and understand them and give them relief and healing? Yes, I did. But now it's cultivating on a deeper level. You're looking for someone that understands on a way deeper level. You've watched me for over 3.5 years, but yet you don't come to the table that's open for you to come to work through those things. You hang on in the background with the very existence, thinking that those threads are going to help you through somehow, but yet you show up here for more knowledge, more wisdom, and I give it, and I give it, and guess what? You're still missing pieces and parts. Well, it's because you have to come to the back end to get the personal things that you truly need to weave and web through the word or through the activation or the spoken thing that is heard in the direction for your assignment to be able to pull through higher alignment. That space is wide open to you. There's no reason you can't come through. It's just you think that you aren't okay to, or we'll use the word afraid to, or you've put it on the back burner forever, or you've never given yourself that space. And I get it all the time. I understand. We're human. We got things we get caught up in. But now is the time to pour into you more than you ever have. And you have to understand that when the divine pours into you, it's because you've poured into yourself. It's because you've embraced yourself. You've embraced a higher mind to connect with something higher within yourself, within the sacred mind. This is not frou-frou. This is huge. This is what you came here to do. This is the unity, the community, the collaboration, the breakthroughs, the shake-throughs, the activations that you always are looking for. Come meet me behind the scenes and let's see what we can do for you truly and authentically to help you move through those things. There are many different layers that you can show up, but you have to trust. I change people's lives, and one of the things that God told me I do is I trick people into believing in themselves till they realize it's no trick at all. If you understood the sneaky ways that the divine works and the divine plays, way sneakier than you would think. You don't think that the divine has its hand on people that are in religious contexts. You don't think that the divine has its hand on people in the government. You don't think that the divine doesn't have its hand on the people that are all wrapped up in the matrix, trying to bring and elevate people into a place of unity and community based upon the level of belief and understanding of what they can bring forth and succeed and do as a race among a physical place. You can see the barriers being brought down all over the place, and just like the divine said just a minute ago, you can feel it in every pulse, every vibration, every step underneath your feet. You can feel those vibrations meeting your requests of what you ask for. You can feel those things. Now, some of you are wanting breakthrough, so come to the seminar. We'll break you through, okay? A lot of it is past. When I say past, it's nothing that you control. It's nothing you can do. It's spoken things over you. It's, you're not going to do this. You're not going to amount to that. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's words that were used in bondage and in curse, okay, to not allow you, they said in bondage and in curse, to drive you into a hearse, meaning you're spiritually tuned off, you're spiritually not aligned with the truth inside of the divine, okay? And you guys have gone through multiple shake-throughs just like me, and elevations and breakthroughs. And this is molding and shaping. They're taking me back to destiny. Destiny is totally upon you. Let her breathe whatever she's going to breathe into. Whatever you feel like you're supposed to do, please just do that. I have felt the need, and the need is where the desire is for the divine that's asking me to be. We're going to do 2 lives a week that are for the collective, and then we're going to do 2 sub-only lives that are going to be way deeper and reflective. And the subscriber-only lives, you don't donate anything. You get naturally healing. We do healing and revealing in there. But here we go. Every pulse, every beat, every moment you can feel the shift beneath your feet. It's the very breath and the life. Breathe in, breathe out, and know that I am present. You're in full presence. You can't, when you are in full presence of being in the flow of energy, you can't not know, and you can't miss the opportunity. The no choice at all was the whole point. You always thought you had to make choices. Everybody always told you had to choose. You had to choose. You had to choose this. You had to choose that. You had to choose. You had to choose. What if now you don't choose? You just allow the divine to show you the rifts, and you naturally intertwine with them because you see from a higher mind and a higher frequency of where the elevation is bringing you to in cultivation. I love each and every one of you. If you guys would like to jump into a private space with me and do a healing, an alignment, some people call them soul retrievals. Hi, Miss Minnie. Thank you so much. Some people call them soul retrievals, right? But what you're doing is you're really reviving knowledge and wisdom that was once shot off because of things you couldn't connect to and things you couldn't see because of the emotional level of trauma or grief that you were going through. And that's done on a completely generational basis, and we've done a lot of them recently where we're literally clearing out all past generation and future context. You're the end and the beginning, and it's even affecting these women's children and men's children that I'm able to work with, and this energy is just catalysting this way. And I see it every time when I get to do this in a personal space. I see all the generations behind them standing, and this light casts over them, and there's this clearing, and the spiritual family on the other side then ascends. And then from this side, when they're showing me the tapestry and the frequency and the fabrications of what's going on, they're showing me the energy then from the womb, from the mother to the children, cascading out. And then the children that have had blockages and can't do this and can't get ahead and can't see, that's completely lifted off of them as well. So we're taking care of 2 places and spaces at one time. That's a 2-part session. It's not just one, and it's in depth. And so, you know, just know that those spaces are open for you.